Hello, and welcome to my channel where we may be dazed, but we are not confused. We are going to do a Sagittarius Stargazer reading. And so the purpose of this is to take a look at what you can do to be more in alignment with that star that shines within you. All right, so we're going to be using the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck. So let's begin. All right, so the thing that you need to let go of that is kind of an old wound that could be blocking you from aligning with this star within you is this sense of feeling as if your personal mission as a spiritual being is under judgment because you are not accomplishing some sort of goal, or you are not living up to an expectation of being this highly spiritual being. I feel as if in a proper balance, this could be very helpful and it could be very enlightening, and it helps to bring the spirituality and the sense of elevated consciousness to our lives. But because this is showing up as something that is an old wound, possibly even like a past life energy, you know, we're talking about your star within you, this soul energy that is could be very old and has a lot of stories and lifetimes that it may have lived. This could be something that has hindered you, is maybe even a sense of guilt or a sense of shame or a sense of just not living up to an expectation that you have of some type of outside entity or group that is watching you and evaluating you. And I feel like you have this energy of this. This could be prevalent within a spiritual belief, a religious belief, all right? Or you feel like you might be judged because you're not living up to something. And I feel like this is what you need to let go of, because it could be actually causing you more harm than good when it comes to aligning with the star within you. Looking at a story that you need to let go of, that you are actively playing out, is this sense of using spirituality, your spirituality, in ways that are rooted in almost this judgmentalness of yourself, you know, holding yourself up to this specific level, but also projecting this outward on other people, to where it becomes almost like this two-edged sword where you're cutting yourself because you're very harsh on yourself, or maybe judgmental, or you hold yourself up to this standard that you feel that you're not hitting. And so then when you deal with other people and you're, kind of judging within, maybe not necessarily saying it, but when you do speak about spirituality or you interact with them, it's coming from a place of them not living up to what you think they should be doing within their spiritual growth or their spiritual journey or their path. And this can be harmful. It's harmful for you, and also possibly harmful for others on the path that they're walking. All right. So this is saying that it's more important to focus on being in alignment with the divine, being in alignment with this energy of the star within you, but having some compassion and giving yourself the space to be able to go on your journey, go on your path without holding yourself to this rigid, structured, heavily critical almost rubric of how it is that you're supposed to do that. For me, this feels like, having specific rules and bylaws and guidelines about what constitutes spirituality or what constitutes a religious belief, and strictly adhering to it as a method to be this being that at the root of this is the sense of feeling as if you have failed, or that you don't live up to this highly spiritual disembodied being that you want to live up to, but that is very difficult to kind of embody within a human body and all the things that make up human nature, and almost being like overly strict on yourself as a result of that, to try to, restrict yourself and maybe even slightly restrict others because you feel that that's the best way to be this highly spiritual being. All right. So what you can learn from this in order to align better with what it is that your star, your energy is wanting to embody in this life at this time is a sense of connecting with the energies around you, allowing yourself to love deeply, allowing yourself to enjoy the more sensual things of what it means to be human. This is maybe not being so hard on yourself if you enjoy, the I don't want to say not so much carnal, not to just be, this is not about being lewd or lascivious, but just kind of being more grounded in a sense that you allow yourself to enjoy the more sensual parts of being embodied as a person, all right, and as a human with 5 senses and connecting with others, allowing yourself to make mistakes, because it teaches you compassion for yourself. Then you can have compassion for others when they make mistakes, forgiving yourself so that you can forgive others, taking chances that may not necessarily work out, knowing that you could mess up or maybe not do the best thing, because then it allows you to connect with and have more empathy for others when they do the same. And it creates a more well-rounded experience as a whole, because it allows you to be present in this moment here, as opposed to being so far aloof and so far removed from it, and more concerned about, at this, spiritual level, what's happening in these higher realms that are so far removed from where you are on this planet at this time, and kind of bringing like a marriage of the two, like allowing yourself to be aware and present of that part of you, while also being here and taking the best of both worlds and kind of bringing them together. All right. So this is saying that all of the efforts that you've made to try to grow spiritually and to be an enlightened person or to be an ascended person has not gone in vain. You can take all of that effort and these seeds that you've planted within your spiritual self and allow yourself to see the fruit of that, to see the harvest of that in the material. You've worked so hard to pour into that. Allow the fruits of the spirit to manifest within the material with love, joy, forgiveness, empathy, and all these things that could translate into your actual lived experience that gives you a deeper sense of fulfillment. And I feel like that will take away from this fear that at the end of your life, you're going to be present in front of a counselor, in front of people, and you're going to be judged. Well, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. When I feel the expectation is that if you were meant to just be purely spirit and not be at this human physical level, that's where you would be. But you're not. You're having a human experience. And so what the expectation is, how did you bring those two together? As a embodied human, how did you show up? Did you love deeply? Did you take chances? Did you allow yourself to experience failure, regrets? Did you learn forgiveness when someone wronged you? Or did you forgive yourself when you didn't live up to the expectation that you had for yourself? Did you grow and learn something from it? And it's just like a shifting of the expectation of being graded on how well you hit these checkpoints on being a spiritual being versus having a overall experience of, here's what happened when I showed up and I experienced this thing. This is what I learned as a result of that. And not having a set way that you're supposed to react or answer in it or respond in it or act in it, but just being and allowing yourself to be. All right, that's what I really feel like this is kind of pointing to here. So possible destiny with this, all right, to align with what your star is wanting to shine forth onto this planet at this time is the Coyote energy. And this is a card that speaks to the divine trickster energy. So this is putting a lot of effort into something, expecting a certain outcome, and then things go a whole different way. This to me is saying that it's important to be aware that no matter how good you try to be, or how right you try to be, or how spiritual you try to be, that is not going to guarantee that everything will go your way or that things will work out. And you might be brought even more challenges as a result of that. The purpose being to try to teach you to fully experience what it means to be human. And for many of us, that's what it means to be a flawed person. Not flawed to the point of being, just you don't care what you do to others and you're not concerned about your impact on others, but more so recognizing the limitations of that and growing as a result of that. So I feel like if, you could also be a person that experiences a lot of challenges, or you see a lot of things that happen to you that don't go your way. And so you might have even felt as if the universe or a divine being or something outside of yourself was judging you and punishing you because you weren't doing right, or you weren't doing well, or you weren't showing up the way you were supposed to. And so you might be very hard on yourself because you feel that doing so will cause this to slacken up, or maybe things will finally go right for you. You might even feel some resentment towards other people who don't have to go through these kind of things, where, they seem like they can just do whatever they want and they get no consequence. Nothing ever just doesn't go their way, and they're not trying. They don't try to be good. They may not have a lot of empathy or compassion for others, or may not just care. Like, they just live their life and things work for them. But I feel like for you in this particular incarnation, it's important that you are aware that things may not be working for you, because that is also the divine. And it's not a punishment. It's not because you're not doing something right. It's because you are meant to grow and learn from the experiences that are being brought to you, while still growing spiritually, becoming enlightened, ascending and overcoming these things. And I feel like that's what this corn card is saying, is that you sowed a lot and you've been going through these trials and tribulations and trying to meet it with your best energy. You're trying to meet it with the highest level of spiritual understanding that you can, and that's not going in vain, but to allow yourself to experience your life, whatever it is showing you, even if it seems backwards, even if it seems like it's, something that seems like a disappointment or a detour. This is testing your faith to see, do you believe in spite of that? Do you lose your sense of wonder? Do you lose your sense of joy in the universe? Do you lose your sense of, who you are as a person? And I feel like that's the challenge for you here, is to really just allow yourself to be more connected and grounded in with the world around you, even if it feels initially as if it's, lower than you or less than you or beneath you in some sense, because you try to detach from it to be highly, highly spiritual, to overcome these things, to allow yourself to be present and see the deeper lesson in it, which could be loving in the midst of certain circumstances. Obviously not toxic, abusive things, but, more balanced senses of that. Learning forgiveness, how to be forgiving of others, being forgiving of yourself, showing compassion, and just being in, I'm hearing like the places where angels fear to tread, that could be a part of your personal mission, is to have these things. And that is what's going to give you that sense of peace and that sense of accomplishment at the end of your life, is that you met the challenges and you showed up, you took chances, you allowed yourself to grow in the midst of that, and to be an embodied spiritual being on this planet. All right. Okay. So that's what I have for you, Sagittarius, for for your Stargazer reading. I hope it was helpful for you. Thank you for joining me on this channel where we may be dazed, but we are not confused. And until next time, bye-bye.